So a complete list of things I've done this week would be, I've played Clicker Heroes. So this week I've been working, I guess, a little bit more on my synthesizer. I talked a little bit about that in the last couple of weeks. What I've been doing is taking all the changes I've made to the standalone application and bringing those over into the game. So like I mentioned last time, what I do is I compose my music in Cakewalk Home Studio, export those as MIDI files, load the MIDI files into my standalone tool, and then from there I can export a custom file format that I load into the game and generate all the sounds and tones in real time as you're playing the game. So all the changes that I've been making to this audio synth over the last couple of weeks have been in this standalone tool. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking all those changes and making comparable, equivalent changes in the game itself. So for instance, where I have like ADSR envelopes and vibrato and tremolo and all these effects, I can now have those happening in the game at the same time. What that means is that the next in development build, which may be available by the time you see this video, is going to have some version of these changes implemented in that, but likely it will be kind of broken. It will be very slow and stuttery and probably won't sound very good because it turns out it takes a lot more CPU time to implement some of this stuff. And I'm in the process right now of optimizing it and figuring out how exactly I'm going to ship some of these changes without like requiring a heavy-duty PC to run it. What I've been doing over the last day or two is adding some tools so that I can sort of understand better like why the audio stream might be failing, why it's not keeping up with the music. Basically, like if I'm generating tones at 44 kilohertz, I have to be able to write data at at least that speed. And in some cases it's not keeping up with that. In other cases I think the thread might be sleeping too long between frames. So there's a few things that could be causing stutters there, and I'm trying to get a clearer picture of what exactly is happening so I can address those issues. But yeah, I'm excited about where that's going to go in the future. I've already been playing around with just like different instruments and different sounds, and the sound of Gunmetal Arcadia is going to be like so far beyond what I was doing in Super Win the Game. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. So this isn't directly related to Gunmetal Arcadia, but something that came up this week that was kind of interesting, I thought maybe I should talk about, is how to deal with exploits and bugs in a not necessarily a multiplayer game environment, because I don't make multiplayer games, I make single player games, that's what I do. But when you're dealing with sort of asynchronous multiplayer, and specifically I'm talking about the leaderboards in Super Win the Game, there's an exploit that some players have discovered where you could fall through the walls in one speedrun course and reach the end of the course very quickly. And I had noticed that there were some leaderboard times of like 2.5 seconds. I was like, oh, that's not good. The issue that I'm running into is, as a developer, I want the products that I make to be bug-free as much as humanly possible. But at the same time, there is sort of an exciting element to being able to find and exploit bugs. And I don't want to spoil anyone's fun, but at the same time I don't want players to feel like unless they exploit these bugs, they can't be competitive in some aspect of the game. And I think that's one of the reasons I generally prefer making single-player games, is they don't have those kinds of issues. And one of the reasons I generally enjoy playing single-player games, they don't have these kinds of issues. Every player gets their own little snapshot of a game world, and that's all there is to it. But I have implemented leaderboards in Super Win. I've been dealing with leaderboard issues since my first indie game, Arcadia Anomalies, back in 2008. I put leaderboards in that game. It wasn't on Steam or anything. I rolled my own leaderboard solution, and I've been dealing with those same sorts of issues ever since then. And yeah, it's sort of an interesting problem of do I want to allow exploits to be a part of the game? Do I want to like say that, yeah, that's a thing that you can do. That's an option. Or do I want to say no? Like that's not really a valid way to play. And I think telling players that something isn't a valid way to play is like never really a fun thing to do from either the developer or player side. But at the same time, like I don't want there to be a perception that my games are buggy and broken, right? So how do I find the right balance there? I'm not sure yet. And I think probably these issues are going to come up again in Gunmetal Arcadia because I'm planning to do some sort of asynchronous multiplayer stuff for that game too. And it's highly likely that some of that might be exploitable. So I'm trying to find the right balance there, and I'm curious to hear player feedback. Like, does it make more sense to just say, well, there are bugs, you can exploit them, that's what the game is? Or does it make more sense to say, nope, once bugs are found, they're going to be fixed, and any high scores that took advantage of those bugs will be nuked, and sorry for the inconvenience. I think both options have advantages and disadvantages. As a developer, I think I lean more to the side of wanting to fix things. As a consumer, as a player, I'm somewhere in the middle. So I don't yet know what the solution to that one's going to be, and I think I'm going to have to wait and listen to feedback on that one. I've been doing contract work the last month or so, and that's been on top of expanding the scope of this documentation process to include these videos, to include publishing weekly development builds and all that. So I haven't had as much time to focus on actually developing the game as I've had in the past. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks I will be able to focus on adding new things to the game, adding new weapons and enemies and all the cool sort of fun stuff that I think is like exciting to show off, and hopefully exciting for you as a viewer to check out every week. I know the last couple of weeks have been sort of focused on either like back-end stuff that's not really seen that much in gameplay, or focusing on synth stuff that's happening in the standalone tools and not necessarily appearing in the game, or not appearing as a sort of fully functional feature yet. But hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll be able to start bringing in really cool new stuff. And probably then right after that, I'll be start taking a step back again as I start doing events towards the end of July. I'm going to be in Austin for Classic Game Fest, and I'm going to be here in Dallas, but up in Frisco at SGC, which I think those are like the last 2 weekends in July, I believe. So I'll be doing some events there and showing off Super Win the Game again, and maybe I'll see if I can have a trailer cut together for Gunmetal. Definitely have some flyers and buttons and stuff to give away like I did last year, so that should be fun. But yeah, I guess it's hard to believe it's July already. Like I'm remembering what state Super Win was in last year when I was taking that game to events for the first time, and really getting some hands-on playtest feedback for the first time ever, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it's interesting to think about, from that point to where Super Win shipped. Is Gunmetal that far away? I think Gunmetal's definitely, it's not as close to shipping as Super Win was when I started showing it off, and that's why I'm not taking a playable build of Gunmetal to events this year. It's just not ready, but hopefully I'm at least doing the in-depth builds every week, so you can get some sort of hands-on idea of what the game is going to turn out to be. But yeah, I guess that's sort of where I am right now and what I'm doing in the future. Now, as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those below the video. You can also send me feedback on Twitter or on Ask.fm. My username is PirateHearts on both of those. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.